Hey guys, today we're going to talk about some common implementation mistakes people make with ERP and MRP systems. And look, this is borne out over experience. I could list off probably a couple of dozen of these. I think what I'm going to do is break them down into some categories. So we're just going to start with the who. So look, when you're looking at an MRP or an ERP system, there are some who's to consider and fairly fundamental. I mean, the first one might be who you wish to partner with. But I would say even before that, it's thinking about who in your company is going to give input into the process. And it's really common, surprisingly, it's really common for people to exclude loads of stakeholders from this process and make it either the project of one person, so it's Fred's job to implement the ERP, or maybe it's the IT person's role, so we'll give it to Sarah who runs our IT department because after all it's a piece of software. Look, those are kind of recipes for disaster. When we're looking at ERP, MRP, we've got to remember it's a business-wide system. It's not so much about IT, it runs on IT, but it's about the operations of the company and it affects every department in the company. So I would suggest to start with, you assemble a team of people. Those team of people include all kinds of stakeholders from across the company. So the who is really important. We need to talk about the why as well. And you know, people will always do something if you're giving them a big enough why. The why is the motivating factor. And so, you know, why do we need an MRP and an ERP in our business? What's it going to do for us? And so that's the kind of the list of things that you want, the outcomes that you want from implementing the system. It's important to have that defined, to have a big enough why that will drive the project through. And also to check over time that you're not migrating from that why as you go through your implementation process, because it's very easy to get excited about details and end up going off on a tangent when actually this is what we want to accomplish. We don't want to accomplish that, that might be phase 2, this is what we want to accomplish. That brings me on to the what, and that's about defining really well, you know, what it is that we're going to mark up as this is when we consider ourselves live in the project. Mission creep is really common. If you start off with a nice simple, this is why we need it, this is who's going to be doing the work behind this within our organisation and any external consultants and things that we're going to use, and this is what it's going to look like when it's running. Get a good clear picture of that. The what by department. So each department, you know, sales are putting their sales orders for it. Once purchasing are buying stuff through MRP maybe, that's when we consider ourselves live, or actually want a whole production control on it. We want people on the shop floor using tablets, we want electronic drawings on those tablets. Pretty much the scope is limitless with what you can do with these kind of systems, and you could go off at tangents. Let's not do that. Bring it down to these 3 questions: who, why, and what. Keep that focus all the way through your implementation, and you're going to avoid many of the common pitfalls that we could talk about. Here, look, it doesn't have to be hard to implement an MRP system. My colleague Martin Bailey at 123 Insights written a book. It's not a particularly heavy read. It's not one of those big dull MRP textbooks that are out there. It's a nice light read talking about best practice in terms of implementation. Come and talk to us directly, 123 Insight. We're really happy to help. We're really happy to talk to you about our software and our implementation process. That's it for today, guys. Speak to you soon. Bye.
To learn more, visit our website or book to attend one of our free educational events. You'll even receive a free paperback copy of our book, How to Implement a Manufacturing System, just for attending.